Love Light Lifers, Nattie Tee here, your vibrational coach, and today we're talking about speaking your truth. If you've been over to the Instagram account, you will have seen today's post, and we're going to talk about manifestation as far as speaking your truth is concerned. We're going to get into that in just a minute. Okay, are you speaking your truth? Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, follow, do all of that good stuff, because I am dedicated to making a video every day of 2020, and I want you to be there with me. It may not be easy for me, but your support makes all of the difference. Make sure that you comment, let me know that you get it and you got me and I got you, and just build a community in that way. For now, though, we're talking about speaking your truth. And this is really interesting because before you can speak your truth, you have to know what your truth is. And the truth of that matter is that what you want to say may not always be your truth. We've all had that moment in life where there's something we really, really want to say, but we don't say it. And why don't we say it? Because there's something inside of us that says, if I say this, it's not going to go down well. And yet sometimes you can't hold yourself back. And so you end up saying it, it just slips out. And then you realize, oh, now I've said it. And you realize, oh yeah, I shouldn't have said that because that's not good. This is actually happening more than you know, because humans don't often connect that what they're thinking and saying with the outcomes that they're getting. They don't see that that is actually where the response is coming from. They think that there is an external stimuli that is causing that the cause and effect is happening externally, and that it's got nothing to do with in here. Because of that, people don't always put together this when it's happening, because sometimes it's a matter of you saying the same thing over and over again and then wondering why you're getting the same thing over and over again. When you're wanting to be popular and yet you keep saying the words, people don't seem to get me, or people don't like me, or why don't I have any friends? This is your truth right now, according to you. This is what you think is your truth, but your truth is actually about who you want to be. You can make that your truth if you want, but that's not who you want to be. And the reason why you're getting that feeling to hold it back and not be a negative Nancy and not to be so miserable and people keep telling you, stop whinging at me. The reason why you're having that feeling that you should hold it back, that you don't want to just spew forth all of this stuff that sounds terrible and say things to people that are mean and hurtful. And you know, some people don't stop themselves, but most of us do. Most of us are aware of how we're affecting our outside environment, but usually only when there's another person in front of us who's going to hold us accountable for that. And that's when we decide to hold back. But there's still that feeling when you start cussing out the traffic or things that you feel like are out of your control. And you know that it doesn't feel good to just spew this stuff, but you still do it. So before you can start speaking the truth, you have to know what your truth is. And that truth is something that feels good to you. When you start to understand the whole garbage in, garbage out theory, because it actually works with your mind as well, whatever you're putting into your thoughts is what's coming out of your mouth. That's why it's so hard. That's why it slips out sometimes, because you think no one can hear your thoughts. So you're allowed to think whatever you want to think about, whatever you want to think about. But the truth is, those thoughts, if thought upon long enough, become your speech. They become what you talk about. And what you talk about becomes how you act. And how you act becomes your outcomes and your responses from the outside world. So when the outside world has been treating you pretty unfairly, it's because the thoughts that you're having are not in alignment with where you want to go. The good news is there's a very simple and easy way of telling if your thoughts are going in the direction of where you want to go, or whether they're just taking you somewhere you don't want to go. We don't think that there is. We don't think that there's a way of telling. We just think, oh, well, you just think stuff and then the universe responds and hopefully you thought the right stuff, But then we go to other people and we go, oh, well, what were you thinking? Or how do you think? Or what should I be thinking? And the thing is, nobody wants what you want. No one who wants to be who you want to be. Nobody is who you are. So those 2 points are relevant. All right. Their relationship to each other is completely individual. Where you are on the GPS and where you're going is never the same as anybody else. So the map and that little blue line that takes you from where you are to where you want to go doesn't look the same as anybody else's map. Yeah, we're all on the same map, but that little blue line is always different for all of us. And so, unfortunately, no one can tell you how to think, but you do have your own guidance system. And that guidance system actually tells you, this thought feels really, really good. And this thought feels really, really bad. And this is where you have to stop yourself from getting confused if you want to be a deliberate creator. And that is that the thing that makes you feel good isn't always what other people are seeing. And the thing that makes you feel bad might be the thing that everybody else is paying attention to, and might be the things that they're saying to you. And at some point, somebody, if you're a good little deliberate creator, somebody will say to you, you're delusional. You can avoid this by just not telling people what it is that you're doing until you've done it. That's the easy way about it. But if you do happen to say something about it because you've been thinking about these dreams, you've been really convinced you're going to get them, and you happen to say something to someone and they go, you're delusional, go, that's all right. Because every single genius idea, every single masterpiece started from a delusional idea that they could do something so fantastically better than what was done before. It came from an idea. And whether or not people thought they could achieve it or whether they didn't, it didn't matter. When the person actually presents you with this masterpiece, all of the stuff that they went through, you have no idea. You have no idea what they went through to get to this masterpiece. And most of it was vibrational, even if they didn't know it. It was the difference between believing they could make something as amazing as they wanted to and not believing it. Starting off from a point where they failed and failed and failed. Why? Because they didn't believe that they had the kind of talent that it would take. Every time they looked at what they were producing, it told them that they weren't talented or that they weren't making a difference or that it didn't matter. But they kept going because they could see themselves improving. They could see the next step closer and closer to the belief. And before you know it, you can actually get to that place where you're creating your own masterpiece. But you got to stop looking at what everybody else is looking at and start looking at what you need to look at with those blinders on, because that's the way to go. If you are busy looking at what that one's doing and busy looking at what that one's doing and worrying about what this one thinks or taking on the ideas, this is probably the most dangerous one, because we tend to then think that this is my assessment. I think that I should be better than I am. I think that what I do is crappy. And that doesn't feel so good. So, as we've learned, if it doesn't feel good, it's not taking you where you want to go. So maybe you do have to fake it till you make it a little bit. But don't put so much pressure on making yourself believe things you don't. Just start looking at things that make you feel good that you already do believe. And you'll find that the relationship to the other things that you don't believe that you want to believe will start to close, and you'll start to feel better about yourself. You'll start to achieve a little bit more, which will make it easier to believe those things that you don't believe now. So that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, hit the bell, all of that good stuff. And I will see you tomorrow.